So what if we decided to look at capitalism not as some grand ideology, but as a machine? In this explainer, we're going to strip it down to its gears and really ask, what is this thing actually built to do? And maybe more importantly, does it even have a motive? Let's dive in.
You know that feeling, right? That sense of being completely drained, of total burnout, like you're just fuel for a process that doesn't really care about you? This isn't just about having a tough week at work. It's a feeling that hints at something way bigger, something systemic. And this quote right here, it gets to the absolute heart of the matter. The whole argument we're exploring is that the results you get from a system are just a reflection of what that system is built to do. So if the main goal is profit, the system's going to find the most direct path to get there. And our well-being might just be seen as an obstacle. This isn't really a story about good people or bad people. It's a story about design.
All right, so let's start by really unpacking this core metaphor. What does it actually mean to call capitalism a social machine?
A social machine, well, it has all the key parts, right? You've got components, like companies and workers. You've got rules, like maximizing profit. You've got inputs, like our labor and our time. And you've got outputs, like products and growth. But here's the crucial part. Just like a real physical machine, it doesn't have to be evil to create harmful results. It just does what it was built to do.
So why does framing it this way feel so uncomfortable? Well, for one, it takes away that easy excuse of, oh, nobody meant for this to happen. It shifts the focus away from blaming a bad boss and puts it squarely on a bad blueprint. And if it's a design problem, well, that changes everything. It means the answer isn't just to work harder inside the system. It suggests that maybe we need to change the design itself.
Okay, so if capitalism is a machine, what kind are we talking about here? It's not just one simple thing. It's more like a complex piece of equipment with a few different functions all working together. So let's take a look at its anatomy.
First up, it's an engine. It takes all these inputs, our work, natural resources, even our attention, and it uses the fuel of profit to create motion, production, expansion, economic growth. But like any engine, it has a red line. If you push it past human limits or ecological limits, things start to break down.
Second, it's an amplifier. And this function is absolutely critical to understand. It takes tiny initial advantages, maybe a little bit of extra cash or a head start, and it just compounds them, making them bigger and bigger over time. And this is what that looks like in the real world. The amplifier effect is pretty much why we see such huge gaps in wealth. It's not a glitch in the system, it's a core feature. It's literally a mathematical property of its design. Capital just has a natural tendency to make more capital, way faster than your hard work can earn it. And finally, the system acts as a filter. It creates this really powerful set of incentives that encourages certain kinds of behavior and, well, makes other kinds of behavior much less likely to succeed. It actually changes how people have to act to get by within it.
And here's a look at what gets rewarded. The system almost always favors efficiency, even if it comes at the cost of care. It rewards things that can get really big, really fast, not necessarily things that are just good enough. It encourages compliance and speed, often at the expense of conscience and wisdom. The people inside the system don't suddenly become worse. The system just selects for a very specific set of traits. Okay, so we've been using these metaphors, engine, amplifier, filter. They're useful, but now we have to get a little more precise. To really understand what's going on, we have to stop talking about the machine like it's a person and start speaking its actual native language. Look, the metaphors helped us get a feel for it, right? But they can also be a bit misleading. They can make the system sound like it has intentions or feelings, like it wants something. The reality is much colder, much more mechanical, and stripping away that emotional language actually makes the whole analysis a lot sharper. So let's do a direct translation. We might feel like the machine resists choice, but what's really happening? In the language of systems, our messy, unpredictable human choices introduce variance. You think of it as static or noise. That just makes it harder for the system to run efficiently. It's a performance problem, not a personal preference. Here's another one. We might feel like the machine wants to see every single thing we do, but the more accurate way to say it is that full visibility, or legibility, lets the system create much tighter feedback loops. This gives it more precise control over its outputs. See? It's all about mechanics, not desire. And this is so important. When we strip away the human-like metaphors, we can see that the system's behavior doesn't need a villain pulling the strings in some secret room. There's no evil plan, no motive. The outcomes are just the predictable result of its mathematical design. It's just running its code.
So now that we're speaking the right language, let's pop the hood and take a look at the actual design specifications for this machine. What is it formally, technically designed to do?
This right here is the system's core programming. This is its objective function, and its single primary goal is to maximize profit. Now, look very closely at what isn't written here. The variable for human well-being, it's completely missing from the core equation. It only gets added in if it's forced in from the outside by things like laws and regulations.
So what about our human limits? The need for sleep, for rest. In the system's logic, these are treated as soft constraints. That just means they can be, and often are, ignored if ignoring them helps maximize the main goal, which is profit. Without hard limits, like strictly enforced labor laws, violating our human needs is actually the optimal strategy for the system.
And where does AI fit into all this? Well, AI doesn't change the system's goal. Think of it as an accelerator. It just increases what engineers call the control gain, letting the system chase its objective faster, more efficiently, and more relentlessly than ever before. It basically removes all the human friction that used to act as a kind of buffer for us.
Now, I know this all might sound pretty bleak, but thinking about it as a design problem actually opens up a really interesting possibility: design solutions. If we don't like the results we're getting, maybe we can think about rewriting the operating rules.
So how could we even begin to do that? Well, control theory actually gives us some clear principles. First, we'd have to treat human limits as non-negotiables, like a bridge's weight limit. It's a hard parameter, not a friendly suggestion. Second, we need hard constraints, not soft little nudges. So instead of a corporate wellness app, think a mandatory enforced cap on working hours. Third, as AI makes the system faster and more precise, we actually need to pump the brakes. We'd have to reduce that control gain to stop the system from flying past its limits and breaking things, including us. And finally, we have to change what we measure. Instead of just looking at quarterly profits, we need to measure the well-being of the people in the system, because their burnout is the single best predictor of future failure.
Ultimately, the whole goal here is to shift from a system that's obsessed with optimizing for one single thing, profit, to what you could call a multi-objective system, one that is engineered right from the start to be both productive and sustainable for the human beings who power it. Human well-being would have to become a core engineering requirement, not just a nice-to-have afterthought.
And all of this leaves us with a final, really powerful thought. The anxiety so many of us feel isn't really about some sci-fi future of a robot takeover. It's about that unsettling, dawning realization that we might already be living our lives inside powerful machines, social, economic machines, that are fundamentally indifferent to our humanity simply because they were never designed to be anything else.